Welcome back, modifiers, to another episode of the 2002 Touring Restoration Project. Today we are looking at the engines. We've got two of them, one's injected, one's carbed. Let's get into it. I'm Daniel, this is Paul, this is Modify or Die, and these are the engines. So we're going to get these up on a hoist onto an engine stand, and then we're going to come back and see what's going on. It's on the engine stand. We're about to just tidy up a couple of things, check the oil, yeah, crank it over. Right, we are almost ready to crank this thing over. We don't know how long this engine is sitting. We don't know where it's from. We don't know if it's all good. We don't know anything about it. And I'll be surprised if that starter cranks over first time and actually pops its little head out. Then what we're going to do is we're going to head over to this compression gauge set here. For those of you that don't know what this is, basically we'll plug this into one spark plug port, crank the engine over, and we'll take a reading of the amount of pressure that that cylinder is actually holding. So that'll give us an idea on what the piston rings are doing. It doesn't give us an idea on everything else, but you know, it's a good starting point for us to know what's happening.
Rings and valve seats.
Yeah, see what's happening with the engine. And we're going to use our trusty huge amp leads over there that Paul is actually saying that you should have in your vehicle to jump your car.
No, you should have decent sized leads like are in the back of your car that should be hanging on the wall in here.
No, I don't know what he's talking about. These leads here, you could jump a helicopter with them. No worries, mate. This is the tube that goes to the compression gauge. That's a spark plug, and you can see it kind of imitates the end of a spark plug, and that's the hole it goes in, and there's a little pressure needle valve in there. Let's go wire it up. Screw a VU somewhere in there. Basically, you want to crank it over until we hit, hopefully, somewhere above 110. High numbers and even, that's what we're going for. That's got a coating on it, hasn't it? Tube and love tap.
Because it won't do anything till it's actually engaged. Put a little bit around that bearing on the end. See, tell me if that actually turns.
No, it's just going backwards and forwards. There you go, cranking. Woo! That's what we want to see. Sparks, baby. Spin her over. Woohoo! Keep going, keep going. Gotta keep going. Let me feel that. Ice cold. Oh. Keep going. About there. 130-ish. Yep. That one went up way quicker. Except the stop. Went up and then just dropped straight to 100. Yep. Not even 50.
That's not good.
Oh, that was shot right up. It's under 150. Cool. Right. Oh no, it was 135. It was 100. Under 50, and then nearly 150. So, something shitty going on here. The other ones aren't too bad, but the difference between them is way too much. You really only want a few pounds between each cylinder.
Hang on.
So,
I'd say you may have a rusty seat because it's been sitting open.
All right, whoa, pump the brakes, slow down. Just for a second. I'm gonna stop pulling this thing apart and do a compression test on this one. This is the engine that actually came out of the car. I don't know if it's original, but it looks like it's in much better condition externally. Internally, I'm not too sure. So I'm gonna leave this for a second, compression test this one, and go from there. What I did need off this motor was this intake here. This is either the early TII or E21 intake manifold, so it's like a 3-piece. So it's got the inlet stub here, and then 4 U-shaped tubes, and then the plenum, which all bolts together. Whereas the most common one that people do this EFI conversion is a 1-piece unit off of a later model. There are some issues with using this setup. Now, this is the mechanical fuel injector. These will come out, and I'm not actually sure, I'm going to whip one out soon, but I'm not actually sure if a 14mm injector is going to fit in there, so we may need to machine these holes to fit an injector. That's one issue. We've got to machine them at the right angle, obviously, because they are not square, they don't come out straight, so you've got to do that right. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is finding an injector that will fit with a fuel rail all up under here, with the plenum sitting here. Now, I've done a bit of research, and it looks like some people have had issues with this and trying to get it to work using these earlier style manifolds. However, with some new injector technology that's been knocking about, there are some shorter injectors like now available that you can buy. Bosch do an injector. It's the part number, or their model number for it is EV14. It's a much shorter injector, which means I should be able to fit the injector and fit the fuel rail up all underneath and still retain that sort of TII intake look. This is what the TII looks like. So this is probably the least common EFI conversion inlet manifold, and this is what the 318i off an E30 intake manifold looks like. Yeah, so it doesn't look as period, but it doesn't matter. I don't know. I quite like the look of this setup here with the big pipe, sweeping pipes and bits and pieces. So what's going to happen is I'm going to clean all this up, and we're going to run with this manifold. All right, I've bought some injectors. Injectors are on their way. So as soon as the injectors are here, we can start test fitting things and seeing how that's going to work. Also, I am looking for an E30 318 inlet manifold, because we've got 2 motors. So the plan is, if that compression test is okay, we're going to build that one, right, as our first turbo motor. And then this one, once the car's running and stuff like that and out of the garage, this one we'll use as a build for a belt motor, basically. So we'll mess with internals, get the head flow and things like that, do some decent work to this motor and have some fun with it, and use the E30 318 manifold. So we can build 2 manifolds, as long as I can find a manifold from somewhere for the E30 318, because parts are getting quite hard to find. Well, that's the end of part 1 for the motor rebuild. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notifications when the next video is coming out. Part 2 of the engine rebuild will be coming very shortly, but before then we're going to be looking at the rotisserie that is getting built, has been built maybe. You know, these kind of things don't always go in time, so we'll be checking that out very soon. And if it looks like I'm wearing lip gloss, honest, I'm not. It's not lip gloss. It's that stuff you put on to stop cracks. Serious, it is. Does it look like gloss? Be sure to check out those videos when they come out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.